As the summer travel season approaches, I'm excited to let you know about 2 upcoming Taste Travels, our immersive travel series hosted by cookbook authors and me, Matt Rodbard. On June 15th, I will be joining the Mediterranean dish author Susie Carace in Barcelona for an incredible week of culinary tours, cooking classes, and plenty of wine and jamon. And on September 15th, I will be joining author and baker Mauricio Leo of The Perfect Loaf for a tour of northern Italy. We will visit artisanal Parmigiano Reggiano and balsamic vinegar producers, take a masterclass in the art of panettone, and of course, eat plenty of stuffed pasta and mortadella in and around Emilia-Romagna. Both trips are nearly sold out and closing soon. If interested, write into hello@tastecooking.com and we will get you the information. That's hello@tastecooking.com. I hope to see you on one of our taste travels this summer.
Restaurants are rough right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. And I'm not getting any younger, so I don't know. I might be okay with just Upper West, LES, and Philly. I want those restaurants to do well, and then I would love to focus on doing more TV.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. I had a great time catching up with Leah Cohen. She's the chef owner of the terrific Pig and Cow restaurants in New York City, with locations on the Upper West Side and Lower East Side. On this episode, we talk about her career and her early season of Top Chef. We also get into her struggles with identity as a kid and how her Filipino and Jewish upbringing made her the chef she is today. Also on the show, I have a great conversation with Barbara Costello. She of the popular Brunch with Babs social accounts and the new cookbook, Every Day with Babs, 101 family-friendly dinners for every day of the week. I hope you enjoy this episode. Leah Cohen, welcome to This Is Taste. So great to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so looking forward. I can't believe you haven't been on this.
I know, we've been talking about doing it for a while.
I feel like
finally doing it.
Were you on before?
No, you keep asking me that.
Oh my gosh.
You were like, I thought we did something, and we were trying to book something, but our schedules didn't work.
Well, you're here and you're coming back too because we've known each other for a very long time and I'm such a fan of Pig and Cow.
Thank you.
I have been since day one, 2013 when you opened it.
2012.
2012 when you opened
I know.
it. Wow.
My girl's up for a bat mitzvah.
I know. Yeah, gotta have a party.
I know.
That would be so fun.
I know.
We'll get into your expansion for Pig and Cow. You have some exciting plans there and so much more. I had so much to catch up on, but I always like to start the show with chefs. Where are you dining out in New York when you aren't on the clock? I mean, what are some spots that you're into?
I mean, honestly, right now, I'm in such mom mode that I really don't go out that much.
Yeah.
And if I do, I live in Jersey City now, so I go to Raza all the time. That is my go-to spot.
Dude, what a place. The bread there.
It's amazing. The bread and butter is so good.
It's Dan gave me a loaf one time, and it was truly the best thing I've ever had.
I should have brought you some.
It's all good. It's all good. I get it. You got 2 kids.
2 kids, and they're 3 and they're 5 and 5.5. So I'm in it right now.
You're in it. Those are some years. So
yeah.
But you're at the restaurants too.
I'm at the restaurants, and then I have my personal brand that I do so much for, and then the restaurants, and then I try to be as present with my kids as I possibly can be, because right now they really want to be around me, and soon they won't want to.
I know, soon they won't. And what about TV? You are on TV. What's good with you in the TV world? I
mean, hopefully one day I'll be the host of a show or get my own show. But until then, I do a lot of one-offs and morning shows and stuff like that. I was a judge on the PBS show, The Great American Recipe, for 2 seasons. Okay. But it was a huge time commitment away from my children. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'll get that show. I know it. It'll happen. Well, we met, I think, at a press event for Top Chef back in the fall of 2008. We met at least around that period when you were just starting your career, at least as a public figure. What was it like as a 25-year-old, being on that show, season 5? And that show, no disrespect, to current cast. That show, they were like dogs on the show, like chefs, like who were like really, really good. Like the talent was so high, and you're like the youngest contestant.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I was very naive and I had no idea what I was getting myself into, which was like very good, because if I did know, then I probably wouldn't have wanted to go on the show. I really didn't watch the show before I went on it, and I was living in Italy, and then I came back, and then everyone was talking about, Top Chef, and I was like, oh, what is this? And then someone recommended me, and then I kind of just got on the show. I think someone dropped out, and so it was like a last minute alt that like got picked up. So like within a month, I was like trying out for the show or interviewing, and then like on the show.
Wow.
So it was like I didn't have a chance to really think about what I was doing, which was good, because I would have probably gotten in my own head.
Yeah, I mean, and then you didn't really know what the show was like either. I mean,
I binge watched like a couple of episodes, and that was it. It was like that was all I knew.
Yeah, and you did well. I mean, I
did okay.
Yeah, you were up there. You were a memorable cast, and you were obviously super talented. Like, what was your career like at that point? You said you were living in Italy. Where were you working? I don't really know too much about your pre-Top Chef career.
Yeah, so I was I went to the CIA, and then after that, one of the chef's instructors, he recommended going to Italy and doing a program called Slow Foods. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of got me like a working visa, and I knew I wanted to work in like a Michelin star restaurant to get the training and all of that stuff. And I didn't even think about cooking Asian food at that time. Like, I never thought that I would be cooking Southeast Asian food. I always thought it was going to be like Italian or European or American cuisine, because that at that time, no one was really cooking that kind of food.
Yeah, at least at the Michelin star level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was in Italy. I was in Sicily mainly. I worked at La Madia, which was amazing. It was like a small little port town. Yeah. And I rode a Vespa. I like lived that Italian life. I had an Italian boyfriend. It was like a movie.
You checked the boxes.
All the boxes.
Yeah. And then the olive oil too was pretty good.
Mandranova olive oil in Sicily is so good.
It's the best.
And then I came back and I worked at 11 Madison Park. And so I really was trying to like hone my technique and my skills, knowing that wasn't probably the food that I wanted to do, but I knew that it was good on your resume. And then I left fine dining and I worked for Anne Burrell at Centro Vinoteca in the West Village. I was her sous chef.
I met you then.
Was that where we met?
I think like at an event you were like working with Anne. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great restaurant.
It was a great restaurant. It was a great location. Probably poorly run. But like not because of Anne, because like of the owner. He kind of just like let us do whatever we wanted, and we took advantage, like drank the bar.
Yeah. Those are the days, man.
Yeah. And then when I was her sous chef, someone asked me, that's when I did Top Chef.
Yeah.
And then I came back. She left to go be a big star on Food Network. And so the owner was like, do you want to come back and be the chef? And I was like, sure. I don't know anything. I was just a sous chef for my first time ever, but yeah, I'll run your kitchen. It was probably a very bad idea.
Yeah, because you're like 26 at the time, and
I think it was like 26, 27.
Hadn't really looked at P&Ls.
I had no idea about the business side of it. I only knew the kitchen side, and I could manage a team, but I literally knew nothing about like labor costs, payroll, food costs, anything in those regards. I didn't know. But then 2008 was a terrible year for the economy. Yeah. And so I decided to move to Southeast Asia.
And that's where I was like, Leah's not here anymore. Because we were like hanging out, and I knew you then, and we would have meals, and you were fun to hang, and we had a crew. And I feel like when you're in Southeast Asia, you are a student of the game. Because I remember we were just talking about like stages you were going to do. What was that like, that period when you were traveling and really immersing yourself in this cuisine?
For me, that was like one of the best times of my life, honestly. I had no responsibilities. I was literally just going to restaurants, knocking on their doors, asking if I could work for them for free. I did set some things up as well. And I had some other chefs like hook me up in different restaurants, but it was just kind of like there was no plan. It was like, let's just see where things are going to take me. Let me just kind of be a free spirit and really just learn and absorb and be like a sponge in these countries. And I did it for a little bit, like a little over a year. And then I came back and I was like, okay, now I got to get my shit together and like actually work and make some money. And I wanted to open a restaurant. I wanted to take everything that I learned from that time. Plus, I didn't like a boss. Like I didn't like someone telling me what to do.
You knew what you wanted.
I
wanted to be the boss.
I wanted to be the boss. And I told my father, and he said, "Okay, let's do it. Let's open a restaurant. Look for a space." And I was like, "Okay." Again, I still knew nothing about running a business. I just knew I wanted to have a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then I found Fatty Crab. We partnered with them, the Fatty Crew team.
Yep.
Was not a great partnership.
Yeah.
It was actually terrible, but I can talk about it now. I had like a 5-year gag order after we broke up.
You have space from that experience now to reflect on maybe it wasn't the best partnership.
It was just a bad partnership. It was, you know what? It wasn't transparent, right? Like I didn't know where the money was going, what they were spending it on. It was just like, it was not an equal partnership, and it was like they were just in charge. And essentially, I was working for them, right? Like I was a part owner, but I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what I wanted.
Which you were working at one of the Fatty Crab locations in the city?
No. Like so, they were the original partner at Pig and Cow.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
So I met Rick Kamak through doing pop-ups because before we opened Pig and Cow, I did a bunch of pop-ups throughout the city, and then I was also working at a catering company just to make money. And so I don't know how we met. He just came to one of the pop-ups. And then I told him, like, I'm looking for someone who knows the business side because I didn't know anything about it. My dad was a dentist. Like, he didn't, he knew about running a dental practice, but not the restaurants. And, so we entered a partnership, and it was, like, very clear and apparent in the beginning, like, the first 6 months that it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah. But, I mean, I would say that's, like, behind the scenes because, like, think on the culinary level and from those early days on Clinton Street, like the food was unique because it was, you're cooking. I mean, just looking at your current menu, up at the Upper West Side location in Lower East Side. I mean, the menu is like khao soi, sisig, Hainese chicken, rotis. You got a big old ribeye there.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, this isn't a pan anything. Like you could be going to a Filipino restaurant and having sisig, and that's Leah's sisig.
Yeah.
It's like very challenging that you're doing all of this style of cooking under one kitchen hood. I mean, how do you do that? It's hard.
So I think it's kind of a hard concept to sell to people because it's not a Filipino restaurant. It's not a Thai restaurant. It's a Southeast Asian restaurant. And especially when we opened almost 13 years ago, no one was really doing that. Like, right? It was very specific to one type of cuisine. And I was like, well, I spent all this time in so many different countries, and there's so many ingredients that cross over, but they're very unique to their own country, and they have their own point of view. So I thought from, like buying products, that is easy, right? And then to make it unique and be like as authentic in flavor as it is to really shine Malaysian, Vietnamese, that was hard because I didn't want it to be a fusion of anything. And so I think the hardest part is not making that food, it's explaining it to the audience.
For sure.
Yeah.
I get that. And I think like the narrative around Pig and Cow is it's just a good restaurant. Like, I mean, to say it's a country, a culture's restaurant would sell it short. So I think as a media narrative, it's challenging. But, Pete Wells got it. He wrote in his 2-star review in 2013, eating at her restaurant, I felt as if I was poring over an album of carefully edited postcards from her travels. And I think it's so true. And you're on this trip but you're continuing this education. How are you picking these dishes for Pig and Cow's menu? Are these just like your favorites from these countries?
Kind of. Yeah. I think, when we first opened, so my husband and I, we own the restaurants together.
Yeah.
So we would go on R&D trips every year before we had kids. Once a year we would go for like 2 weeks, and we would hit up like a few countries in Southeast Asia. So that was really great because I was just, again, like immersing myself, if only for a short amount of time, but I already had the backbone and the fundamentals of those cuisines and those countries. But now, it's really hard to travel with kids, especially on such a long plane ride. So I'm a little bit, I think I'm more creative in a sense where I'm not trying to be as authentic because I think back then I was trying to prove that I was an authority on Southeast Asian cuisine. I was trying to prove maybe to myself and to other people, like I know what I'm talking about. Now I feel more confident as a chef that I don't need to prove myself, and I can do. I wouldn't say like fusion. I would.
It's definitely not.
Still not.
It's
but
definitely not.
It's. I would say a little bit more playful.
I mean, it's definitely playful, and I mean, I just think that doing the khao soi at your level, but it's not a Thai restaurant, is just so cool. So cool. Like, it's, to me, I just think you're like underrated. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Like, you're an underrated chef.
I agree with you, Matt.
The easiest question. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like you're doing well, and you're on the Upper West Side now, and you're expanding to Philly.
Yeah.
Which is super ill. I mean, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Picking Cow goes from 1 to 3 in like a year and a half. What's the impetus to do this?
We're psychotic.
I know. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And honestly, I think it was just like right place, right time kind of thing. Like funny thing is, I didn't even see the space on the Upper West Side before we signed the lease.
No way. Why? That's
so
crazy.
My husband and our partner, we got partners during COVID. And they're called Operate Crew. They partnered with like Mark Forgione, PDT, Ludo out in LA. So they picked brands that they wanted to that they believed in, that they wanted to see through the pandemic. So they helped us out financially in that respect. And they also just kind of like streamlined all of our business.
And they're thinking about scale, obviously.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So my partners and Ben, my husband, they looked at the space in the Upper West Side and they were like, "This is exactly what we want." And I was like, they were like, "Do you want to see it before we sign?" Like, because it wasn't on the market. And I was like, "No, I trust you guys. Like, you guys think this is a good spot. Like, then let's sign it. Let's sign the lease." And then the Philly location, my husband and I, like, we really put in the time and the effort and worked with someone locally there to find that location. And that is, it's not Fishtown. It's East Kensington, but it's like the next extension of Fishtown, where if you're familiar with the
I mean, like
restaurants in Philly.
Kalaya's right there. You got Bastia. Those are two places in Fishtown.
Yeah. So the partners there at those two restaurants, they open Picnic across the street from where we are. So we're like, okay, those guys know Philly, and if they believe in that neighborhood, let's go there.
I mean, shouts to our friends in Philly. What a great restaurant-going community. They support local. I mean, I don't know how nice they are to out-of-towners, but...
Well, so my husband's from Philly.
Okay.
So that's our thing,
Doesn't Ben wear like a Mets hat all the time?
No. Oh my God.
Oh, man, I'm thinking...
He would be so mad.
Oh, Ben, sorry,
that.
buddy. I didn't mean that.
No, he's a huge Phillies fan.
Okay.
And, Phillies and Mets, they are not... they're rivals.
Yeah.
So, no, he's from Philly, born and raised. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to open in Philly.
Yeah.
He has a lot of family in Philly still. And for us, it was like the most, like... It was just like a natural progression.
Of course.
And like such a good food city that's close to New York, because like I'm kind of over New York. Like I don't want to open any more restaurants in New York.
Yeah.
Like I love New York. I'm from New York, but I'm good with what I got.
But I mean, Upper West Side, I'm walking around the neighborhood and it's like, I haven't been really up on Columbus in a minute. 81st, right? Where at? Yeah. And like, it's cool how many restaurants are there. And like there's a Jin Fang down the street, for God's sake. That's cool. Like clearly that neighborhood supports restaurants, and it's a great restaurant neighborhood.
I think now in like the last couple of years, they have really, like, a lot of people have been expanding up there that way, but I still think that it's not as competitive as, downtown.
Than Clinton Street. Yeah. What's Clinton like these days? I haven't been down to Clinton in a minute.
It's kind of rough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Like, it is, I think post-pandemic, it never fully came back. And there's a lot of drug addicts over there.
Yeah. That's always been my vibe about that place.
And, I think what once was cool now transferred over to Dime Square.
Yeah. The energy has gone over there.
Yeah.
It's a good point. You're an operator. You've almost 13 years in the neighborhood, and you're sticking around, it sounds like.
I mean, we'll see when the lease is up.
Yeah. There'll be choices to be made.
Yeah.
Hey, podcast listeners. I'm Chris Morocco, food director of Bon Appetit and Epicurious, and host of the Dinner SOS podcast. Each week on the show, we bring the expertise of the Bon Appetit test kitchen to your kitchen. And this season, we've got a little something for everyone. We're debating whether spring produce is actually worth all the hype, solving your hosting anxieties, and helping you become a better baker with our BA Bake Club episodes on Dinner SOS.
Hi, I'm Avery Trufelman, and maybe you can relate to this. There's so many great podcasts out there, but it's impossible to listen to them all. That's why I'm so happy to be the host of Hark Daily, a new way to hear the best moments from the best podcast conversations. Each weekday morning, you'll hear 5 captivating clips from amazing podcasts on the day's news, culture, and so much more, all in 20 minutes. And it's totally free. Check it out at harkdaily.com.
I want to zoom out and go back in time and hear about what food was like growing up. You know, your father's Jewish, your mother's Filipino.
Yeah.
You've got these two cultures in the household. What's food like?
I mean, it was weird. There was a lot of weird shit we ate. I mean, Jewish food is something that I don't think even growing up, like, we really ate a ton outside of holidays, right?
Yeah.
And so my mom, she's from the Philippines, but she was assimilating to America. She had been, when I was born, she had been here for a couple of years. So she was really trying to, like, put her own, like, American spin on, like, some of the Filipino food she was trying to get me to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's a dish called mungo, right? And it's kind of like a Filipino lentil stew, if you will. But my mom was like, oh, well, let me put like hot dogs in there for you because like I think, kids like hot dogs.
Lentils and hot dogs. Interesting pairing.
Usually they put like pork belly or something like that, And so I don't know. I mean, it was just like, it was kind of like a mixed bag.
Yeah.
No one in my family was really a great cook, I would say. My grandma was good, but she was like, Jewish grandmother, great at like brisket and like matzo ball and like a couple things here and there. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird that I got into food.
Well, I want to know, like, you end up at the CIA. Like, was there a career, like, were you working in a restaurant when you were young? Like, what inspired you to become a chef?
So I think while no one was a great cook in my house growing up, my dad loved food, like would drive to the end of the world to get the best anything, right? Insert like whatever you're looking for. And like we traveled a lot too. So I was lucky enough to go to the Philippines since I was like 4 years old, but we'd always tack on another country. So if we're going that far, we might as well check out Vietnam or Japan.
That's cool. As a young child, you were in Vietnam. Oh,
yeah.
Amazing.
So like personally, I think growing up, I didn't realize it, but like I like to think that I was like building my palate and training my palate at such a young age because I was exposed to like all these different cultures and cuisines. We also went to Italy a lot. My parents I think I got the travel bug from them. And so because of that, I fell in love with food and my father's passion for food. And so when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do as a person, as a grown up, really, I always just kind of gravitated towards food. And Food Network played a huge role in that, too.
Yeah.
Like, Food Network was huge when, a little different than it is now. It was like not competition shows. It was like actual cooking.
Yeah, they were lots of great chefs always on doing demo.
Yeah.
Like really teaching you how to cook.
Really teaching you how to cook where like it's shifted so much now from what it used to be.
How do you feel about that? I mean, you're part of this like industrial complex of the competition. You're a fucking judge, for God's sake. But yeah, you sound like you're not. I'm not loving. You're on a competition show.
I've been on a bunch of competition shows.
You're good at that. I mean,
I would say I'm not actually good at competition.
Why?
Because I am one of those people. I'm not quick on my feet when it comes to like creating something. Like I like to research and like just take my time. I was like learning disabled. Like I just literally like took my SATs like untimed. Like I just like I need my time to like absorb and think things out where you don't have that kind of time on a cooking show. And so, or a competition show. But I don't know, I wish there was like a happy medium, Like I definitely understand why competition shows like rate so well and the networks want to have all of them. It's sports. And I like watching it. I think it's super cool. But I also kind of miss like the days where it was just like, I don't know, like Emerald cooking in front of like an audience and like bamming it up and like really learning how to make food. And like, yes, you can learn all these different, recipes through social media, which is great, but it's quick and it's different. It's not.
I mean, there's an appetite for knowledge. It's obvious. It's why these quick hit, how to make something videos do so well, I believe fully. And I think we sell a lot of cookbooks and people are buying them of all ages. So it's always a puzzle to me why competition is the one type of programming everybody wants.
It's all they want though.
Yeah.
And like for me, for someone who, I don't enjoy it. I do it because I feel like you got to play the game, right? Like if that's all Food Network is putting out, then and you want to be on Food Network, but then and you want to judge, right? Then like you have to give and take. So
did you choke one time, like on camera for a competition? Like, did you absolutely just like go blank and have no idea what you're doing and just have to?
No, I don't think so because like I have like a pretty good I have like good fundamentals, right? Like even when I was doing Top Chef, I was just kind of like, something pops into your head, whether it's good or not, it is a different story. But like, I think, if you're knowledgeable enough, which I really try to do, like, just because I cook Southeast Asian food professionally doesn't mean like I don't try to learn like tons of other cuisines and make myself like a well-rounded chef. But yeah, I think that really comes into play too when you're doing competition shows.
I mean, that time in Sicily, you must have been just working like crazy.
Oh,
At a Michelin restaurant in Italy at that era, like, man, you're working hours.
Yeah.
Putting in the time. I mean, we could talk all day about competition versus stand and stir. There is a hybrid, I believe. Maybe it's your show.
Yeah.
Maybe like there's a way to bring your personality and teach people about cooking in Asia, but do it without it being like a quick fire version of that.
Yeah.
I would love that. So what's it like growing up Jewish and Filipino? I mean, you were just on a panel at the New York Times, and I want to tap into that topic because it must have been difficult.
I would say, I never used to talk about it coming from like a blended background, like a multicultural background. I think it was funny, like I did the New York Times thing 2 days ago, and I was on a panel with two other mixed race, half Asians, and they were much younger than me. And, for me, I was like, this is kind of crazy that I'm up here and talking about this because this is just not something that we spoke about, like growing up. And I just think that for me personally, I never wanted to talk about it because I didn't want it to seem like I was complaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, I think it's really hard when you come from two different backgrounds to try to figure out where you belong, right? Like, I'm not Filipino enough. I'm not Jewish enough. Where you're young, you're trying to figure out who you are at there's anyone, and then coming like not feeling like you're enough from both sides is kind of challenging, and it's hard. And so I think one of the reasons why I probably cook the food that I do is to like tap into that part of my background and to maybe prove myself to the Filipinos that I am like, really trying to just be a proud Filipino, help promote the culture. And then on the other side, it's like a very weird mix because Jews, a lot of Jews are like, why are you cooking like pork?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, well, there's, at this point, I think 2025, a lot of people are mixed, right? And I think it's great. I think at some point, we probably all will have a little, something.
I mean, in America, at least.
In America,
look at the change dynamic of America. I mean, we're
a melting pot.
We're a melting pot. We're multicultural. We're very proud of our multicultural identity. Contrary to headlines and people in the White House, it's what America's about.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's great. And I think the fact that people are giving us a platform to talk about it and we actually want to talk about it now, I think is huge because before, I know for me, I just like, I felt like weird. Like I didn't want people thinking I was like complaining about it.
Well, you're of a generation, your age that, and especially from the chef culture, is like complaining is like the cardinal sin.
Yeah.
Like you have to suck it up in every level. And I'm happy that you can talk about it now, that we can talk about it in the show. I mean, must have been difficult to not feel like you're grounded in an area, but have clear passion and really like you have intellect about identity and about place. It's important to you with your cooking.
It was weird. Like, when I would go and visit the Philippines, I always, they love mixed, like half white, half Filipino or anything, like anything half Filipino. They, I remember we would go to the mall and they'd be like, oh, your daughter's mestiza. Like, we should get her to model. Like, it doesn't matter, like, if you're good looking or not. Like, they love that kind of half mix. But, when I was with my family and I didn't speak Tagalog or any of the dialects, I felt like very out of place. So I'm like, my mom is having conversation with everyone. I'm having a hard time dealing with, understanding what's going on and it was just like, it was like, I felt awkward all the time when I was there.
I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, like visiting now in more modern times when you're older, what's it like to visit Philippines now?
I mean, I love going to the Philippines. I took my kids last
Cool.
year, a year and a half ago. We're trying to go back in January. It's the best time for a restaurant owner to go.
Yeah.
And so, because I want my kids, even though they're only a quarter, I want them to know that part of, of their family. And they are so proud of me because they're like, oh, you're famous and you're cooking Filipino stuff. And people in the Philippines, like in Manila, like they know me too. And so like my family thinks it's really cool.
It is cool. And
I think it's cool.
Yeah, totally. It's very cool.
Yeah. And so and then like one of my cousins, she owns a small little restaurant in like the province and her food is amazing. And she's just like so excited that we had like a family gathering there.
Fun.
And so it's nice. It's really, I think for me, I'm really happy that I chose the path that I did to embrace my Filipino culture and, really just try to help spread the knowledge, the love, because Filipino food has been having a moment, but I feel like right now it's like really blowing up.
Yeah.
Like before it was slow, and now I think it's just like it's kind of exploding.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those cuisines that every year there's just so much more information out there.
Yeah.
And it's not just adobo and sisig.
No, it's not.
You know what I'm
and the
saying?
Filipino bakeries.
Yes.
Like I'm going to Chicago next week for
fun.
the NRA.
Cool.
And I'm like, there's like 3 or 4 bakeries that I obviously will not get to, but like I need to go to at least one of them.
Yeah, I love that. So this leads to a question about Big and Cal's future. I mean, where do you want to take this, Leah? What's 5 years like for you? Because are you thinking about other markets?
Well, definitely Philly, and I guess we got to see how Philly goes.
Yeah.
Restaurants are rough right now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, and like I'm not getting any younger, so I don't know. I mean, I might be okay with just Upper West, LES, and Philly. But
I mean, that's a pretty nice like footprint of restaurants. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's and it's always just one restaurant will be good, and then the other one won't be. So it's a lot of jumping around. And honestly, I feel like I want those restaurants to do well, and then I would love to focus on doing like more TV stuff.
Another restaurant question, and we've talked a lot about the structure of restaurants, the taxation of restaurants on the show. And I mean, how can restaurants be supported by both governments, local, federal, and just diners in general? I mean, we talked about this payroll tax issue. You're shaking your head. I mean, it's just wildly insane that you're paying 30% payroll tax for a place with so many employees and paying the same tax rate as like the watch store next door. Listeners, I apologize that I'm repeating it, but it's so important for the industry to hear this from you, how like fucked up this structure is and how unfair it is. So that's just one topic, but what are you thinking about?
I mean, I just think like every year the city, the state, they make it harder and harder for restaurant owners. I mean, even like, so we, like Upper West just had a DOH inspection, right? So Department of Health came and like, they're always changing the rules on us. So like we're in a building. And so in our kitchen, not in our kitchen, but like to go to the basement, there is like a door that is always locked, but it goes to the lobby or like a hallway in the building. And so like the DOH guy, and we kind of have the same thing in LES, but it's like the boiler room, right? And so the DOH inspector was like, you got to open that door. And we're like, well, no, we don't have access to that. And he was like, well, you're not going to pass your inspection. Like that was not a thing even a year ago, right? And so like, also, I don't even know if the inspector knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But like, you're going to get fined. And then, and then God forbid we don't pass the inspection. I mean, we got an A, but if you don't pass the inspection for that, you know what I mean? Then you have a grade pending in your window, which deters guests from wanting to eat there because it's like,
It's a mark, of
it's
course.
a mark. It's
Yeah.
like a shady thing, even though there's nothing wrong with a grade pending.
Yeah.
And
And it has nothing to do with the sanitation or the cleanliness. It's about this door situation.
But I mean, and then you'll get fined. And then if you want, you either have to pay the fine or you have to pay someone to go fight the fine. So either way, you're paying, right? So it's just like one more thing that they keep adding on, like with separating the trash. You now using the trash bins. If you like at Maman, the bakery next to us, they got fined because the city makes you put your trash in these huge bins, and as a small bakery, they have nowhere to keep it. So they keep it on the street, but you're not allowed to keep it on the street. So they got fined. It's just crazy. Then like noise violations, you get fined, like all this stuff. Like the city just like, I feel like is setting you up. I understand like they need money too, but like they're taking it,
It's a profit center for them.
For
it's
sure.
Obvious. There's a real calculation that you need to make X amount of fines per street address, like concentration of addresses.
And then just like the sheer, like the number that, like the amount that you have to pay just for like a liquor license renewal. You know what I mean? Like every year it's like $7 or $8 grand. Like all of it just adds up. Then you add the fact that like congestion pricing, people are not driving into the city or not driving, in general. Like I live in New Jersey. I am like very anti-congestion pricing right now. It worked for the first month and I was like, oh, okay, this is good. Like I don't mind paying the extra $9 if I'm going to get home in like 25 minutes. Yeah. But now the traffic is just as bad. I'm paying more money and less people are coming into the city because of it.
Yeah, the optics of it are terrible, even if it doesn't do anything. I mean, it's like you're paying more for no reason. Yeah. Truly. I mean, I feel the same way as a driver myself into the city. It's quite interesting. What about on the guest side? How can we as guests be like supportive of you, the restaurant owner?
I mean, I think guests who like linger and just like stay at the table and not let us turn the tables is really hard, especially if, like the food that I do. We make our money by turning tables, like everyone else, but we do volume because we have raised our prices, but we're not, I would say we're like mid-range. We're not cheap and we're not expensive. And so because of that, we need to just make sure that we, get people in and out in a timely manner. And I think the people that like linger really kind of
especially if you're seeing a line outside. I think it's like a great reminder if you're dining at a restaurant and you're having that wonderful conversation, you can take it somewhere else. Yeah. You have a great bar.
Be mindful of the fact that we have reservations after you. If it's a Monday night and it's like slow or whatever, it's fine. Like, right? Like take your time, have some extra drinks, right?
Yeah.
I have noticed though, people are drinking less too.
Very, very, very good point. Tell me, what are you seeing?
Like, I mean, so when we first opened, it was just pretty much like holiday season. Yeah. So our drink sales were obviously more. So we thought that was probably, we should have factored that in, but we didn't. So we were like, why are our bev sales like down so much from when we first opened? Obviously you have like dry January, fine. But I think people in general, Gen Z, they don't drink as much. And then I think people in this climate, like they're very concerned about like spending money, even if they have a lot of money. They're not getting that like third, fourth drink that like, I don't know, I would normally get.
Yeah. Well, you have some great NA options, I have to say.
We do. And we purposely did that because my husband doesn't drink.
Yeah, it's a great, you have a couple aids, you have like limeade and you have some NA beers. And I mean, it seems like a blend of all of that. I mean, the sticker shock is definitely real at restaurants for a lot of diners, and definitely people aren't drinking as much.
I don't know why you would think with everything going on in the world, you want to like drink a little bit more.
I would think so. I mean, I think it's like health too. People maybe just don't want to drink as much, but it's so important to a restaurant's bottom line to make sure have a healthy alcohol sales program. So, I mean, but you're doing well. It sounds like, the numbers are there.
I mean, I think definitely they're good. They could always be better. We always want them to be better, We opened for brunch, which is great. Brunch is good. But again, like we had we would crush at Bottomless Mimosas downtown. No one really orders it Upper West Side.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we need to like rethink that whole retool.
It's like it has to be something other than the mimosa.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the drink that you want
People
at
like spritzes a lot.
Yeah.
I don't drink that much anymore, honestly. I think now also because I have two kids, like the last thing I want to be is hungover with 2 little kids.
Yeah, like the 6 a.m. hits a little different after like some rosé.
Yeah.
Too much rosé, yeah.
Maybe when they're older, I'll start drinking a lot more again.
I mean, could you just like go hard and just be like, all you could drink Long Island iced teas? LITs?
I mean, me or for other people?
No, for your bottom line.
Mean, there's a lot of alcohol in.
I know. That's like the kind of irresponsible bottomless offering. Yeah, this is why I'm not in the restaurant industry, of course. We're just, but I just love your cooking. And I say it again, you're just super underrated chef because I just think we think of you as maybe a TV person, as a cookbook author, but these restaurants are special. I love them. On This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid-fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
Okay.
The best fruit.
Mangoes.
What kind of mango? How are you doing it?
A Filipino mango.
Okay.
I'm just eating it plain.
Love that.
Yeah.
The worst vegetable.
White asparagus.
Why?
First of all, I don't like the color. It looks weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, it looks weird. It's like albino.
Yeah.
No offense to the albinos.
No. It just looks a little, it's like we want a little color in our vegetables.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. What's your typical breakfast?
Breakfast, I try to eat a lot of protein as an aging woman. So I do like a omelet with like maple turkey in there, like as much like vegetables and protein as I can add in there.
Nice. Are you doing egg whites or going full?
I do 2 whole eggs and an egg white.
Oh, that's my guy right there.
I can't just do all egg whites. I think that's gross.
It's not great. I mean, if you're like brunching or lunch or breakfasting for a meeting, you want to eat like super light.
Yeah.
And they have like a fancy egg white omelet. I'll dabble there.
Yeah.
Not at home.
No.
Nah. The best dessert.
Best dessert. I have like a sugar tooth, like a sweet tooth. So like I love all desserts, but you know what? I love a good rainbow cookie.
Sick.
I love Vic's rainbow cookie.
Vic's, yeah.
I got married at Vic's, and I think
cool.
like I fell in love with Vic's because of their rainbow cookie. And Hillary was a chef at the time.
Hillary Sterling, shout out.
I love her, and I was like, "Yo, girl, let me get your rainbow cookie recipe."
Friend of the show, yeah. I love that. Oh, it's so good. A restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead.
I mean, showing some love to my Clinton Street WD-50.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were doing some crazy shit, and some of it did not work. But it was but the ones that did, and it was so creative and innovative. And when Malcolm was was a pastry chef there too. I mean, it was just crazy.
Malcolm was great. We had a terrific episode with Malcolm talking about those days. I love Malcolm Livingston. He's such a talent. That was a great era, the Malcolm era.
Yeah.
I like that one. Great call there. When you're craving fast food, where are you going?
I don't eat fast food.
Not at all, like zero.
I've never eaten Chipotle. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't eat any.
You've never dabbled in the arts of the McDonald's.
French fries if like someone's eating them, but like I don't really eat fast food.
Yeah.
It's
fair. I'll take that one. Not even a Shake Shack?
No.
I'm into it. Okay. Like fair enough.
Like if I'm gonna indulge in the calories, I would prefer to go to like a really good bakery and just eat like some donuts or you know what I mean? It's not my thing.
Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Bangkok. I love Bangkok. I spent a lot of time there. That was like my hub when I was in Southeast Asia. I would always go back when my visa ran out in other countries. Mm-hmm. And I would just I use it as my home base. And I have a lot of friends there. I love it.
It's a great call. Last one, your favorite sandwich?
Favorite sandwich? It's from a place in Jersey, Jersey City. It's called Bread and Salt.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been there?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Rick, man.
So I live like maybe like a 10-minute walk or like a 3-minute drive from there. And very simple, classic like prosciutto and mozzarella. Their bread is just like so thin. You don't feel like bad eating it because it's not super carb heavy.
Yeah.
And the quality of the prosciutto and the mozzarella is just like perfect.
It's a really, really good spot.
Really good.
I love that call. Leah Cohen, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thank you.
We're going to have a conversation here about your life and about the book.
Right.
And I think there was an anniversary that happened yesterday, and it leads to my first question. Take us back. I think many in the room want to know, what was it like posting that first post? The first post that changed really everything.
It changed my life, really. It was 5 years ago to the day yesterday. We just realized, we checked, oh my gosh. I always say nothing happens by chance. So here I am with you in New York, 5 years and 1 day until we posted that first video. And, it was during COVID. And I was doing retired, semi-retired things that an older lady does. I was going to water aerobics. I was watching my grandkids. I was going to Bible study, and also substitute teaching, but I could decide my schedule for that. And so, that was my life. And then COVID hit, and I said to my daughter, who had 2 toddlers at the time, I was expecting a third. And I said, if you'd like, I can come and help you for a few weeks. So I was at Elizabeth's house. The kids were asleep. We were in the kitchen. And she said, Mom, I think you need to try TikTok. And I said, I think you're crazy. Liz, how would you even come up with this? And she was like, well, I said, I love to dance, but your nieces are dancing on TikTok, but your mother's not dancing on TikTok. And so she said, no, Mom, you could cook on TikTok. And, I really was not on any social media. So this was all very new to me. But I did know that because the kids would tell me they had 1 minute to do whatever dance they were learning. So I thought, what can you cook in 1 minute? That's crazy.
1 minute.
1 minute. You
Okay.
had 1 minute to make a
Had
recipe.
you ever edited a video before? Had you
No.
consumed any? You didn't know what TikTok was, but had you watched Facebook videos or anything like that?
I was on no social media. I didn't
No
have a
way.
Facebook account. And I would just, when my granddaughters were over, they would show me their dancing, and sometimes they'll coerce me to get up. And I was behind them, but they never posted. I'm like, don't put that on. So anyway, this was a new total experience for me. So I, of course, said, no, I don't want to do cooking either. And, but she wouldn't take no for an answer. So I finally thought, all right, I'll do one and done. I made this chicken oregano that my grandmother would make with roasted potatoes.
Yeah.
And it was over. That was my video. And I thought, okay, she's happy. And I'm happy because I don't have to do another thing. And so the next day she shows me her phone and she's like, look at this. And it was it was like a calculator, and I'm like, what is that? Those are people who are following you. And I'm like, oh my word, that's incredible. And then later she'd say, would you like to read your comments?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, well, what are the comments? People comment on your video. Oh, sure. And the comments were off the charts. They were like, you remind me of my mom that I can't see right now. You're the closest thing to home that I have. You're the grandmother that I miss so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're reading these. And it was very heartfelt. It was incredible.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it. People who don't have grandparents and don't have parents, they connect with you. How do you feel about that when you are many people's? You're the grandmother they don't have.
Oh, yeah. It's first of all, it's the ultimate compliment, right? Hopefully you have a good relationship with your mother when you say, you remind me of my mother, right?
Well.
in a good way. But, it is kind of the ultimate compliment, right? A mother. And you remind me of my mom. So that really is or grandmother, It's a heavy weight. It's I want to live up to that compliment,
You post that first video and you see the calculator gets rolling.
Yeah.
But then how do you think about the rest of the story? Are you posting every couple days? Do you start to have fun with it? Does it feel like work? What's it like? Let's do 6 months of your first post. What's that that period like for you?
Well, then I came to the realization that it's not just a video every now and then. Now we've entered into a new space. And now it's a little bit more serious 6 months from then. But we used to post videos Scooter was born, Liz's baby, and we'd post videos with him in his old bassinet, and I'd be at the counter, and he'd be like, you could hear baby sounds? And be like, what is that noise? I'm like, well, that's my grandson who's in his bassinet, right at my feet. So it was kind of developing into something more than I could ever have imagined.
Yeah. Do you start to think about recipe development at that point? Thinking about, building a recipe database. I know we talked previously about you had all these old recipes from this
Right.
recipe book, but how do you think about like YouTube and TikTok content,
Yeah.
as your main source?
Yeah, that's because at that time it was just TikTok because Instagram did not have like reels. So I got my start on TikTok, and it was a very welcoming community for sure. But TikTok is different than Instagram. I think Instagram is more of I would say my active online. I call you my online family. I know you're out there, even though I don't see you, but now I see you.
Yeah.
So now I know you're out there. But TikTok is different. TikTok, you have to be a little bit at the time though. TikTok, when we first started, they making a video where an older lady was hardly talking was very well received.
Yeah.
But now it's developed into something that you have to be more quick, more snappy, do hacks. They want tricks, where Instagram wants to hang out and do a recipe
Yeah.
and visit,
It's really interesting that you can split the difference that way.
Yeah.
Do you have a preferred platform out of the two? That
Well,
like the community that you build in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I obviously would be Instagram for
Yeah.
me, but I also will be forever grateful to TikTok.
I like that answer. It's
Yeah.
diplomatic.
Yeah.
For you Meta executives out there and your TikTok executives. We'll get a little bit more into the digital side of your world, but let's get into Babs, like
Right.
as a person. I think when I was reading your book, it was clear that you grew up in an Italian household,
Right.
but then you had Lebanese
Right.
background as well. And
That's
I
right.
think that really informs a lot of your cooking. Tell the audience a little bit about your background growing up.
So, Mr. Babs and I are Chicagoans, and I grew up in an Italian family. My dad was Lebanese, but we were much closer. Well, my grandparents had already died. I never even knew my Lebanese grandparents. But when I was born, we lived in an apartment building in the city, and my grandfather owned the building, and the entire building was the family. So I could go upstairs to my grandmother's and, hang out, and she'd give me a job to do or whatever, and then go back downstairs, and be home, right? So the whole building was kind of like home, which was, it's
Yeah.
unusual now, but I
So-
didn't realize that it was very much a blessing, So I grew up being extremely close to my grandparents, and I think seeing my mother interact. My mother was the oldest girl of 9 children.
Wow.
So she had an older brother, and then then my mom, and then there was a bunch of boys, and then the rest of the girls. And so my mother was the worker. She was the one that helped my grandmother. I mean, my grandmother didn't have, at that point, a washing machine. She had a basin and a scrub board and a clothesline, and for 9 children. So it was a tough life, but it was just a warm, loving environment.
And I'm sure the kitchen was the center of everything.
That was the hub.
Right.
My grandmother came over. It was an arranged marriage, so she came over to marry my grandfather.
Do you know where she came from?
She came from Salerno.
Okay.
My grandfather was from Avellino.
Okay.
And so when she left Italy, she never went back. She never saw her parents again. My grandfather went back.
Oh, really?
But my grandmother was like, I can't go back. Who's going to watch all these kids? So she was kind of stuck. But anyway, food was sacrosanct. Food was the center of their lives. I mean, my grandmother worked a lot. She didn't work outside the home, but she worked from sun up to sundown. And food was sacred, I think, especially during the Depression, where my grandmother would tell stories that there was enough food to feed my grandfather and the kids, and she'd have like a crust of bread.
Wow.
At the end of the day. So once they got through that, food was sacred.
So tell us a little bit about the types of dishes cooked inside this family home, and what these meals were like. What these celebrations are, just general day to day. I mean, we're cooking a lot of red sauce Italian. Are you cooking Chicago style? Recipes as well.
My grandmother brought over, and my grandfather, lots of traditions from Italy. So she made her own pasta, noodles, the gnocchi, the lasagna noodles. She had a machine.
Did she dry them out on the?
She dried them out like on the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything that she made, she you know what? She couldn't read. So literally everything was done by feel and taste. And she was an amazing cook. I don't know how she made biscottis, to tell you the truth, without reading, but she did.
Yeah.
And so it was all the roasted meats. They were huge. We always had lamb, and they would go to they call it the Greeks, and buy a full lamb.
Yeah.
Then they would roast everything,
Oh, really?
including the head.
What do you think about the lamb head?
Well,
As a kid.
I'll tell you what I thought about it. So my grandfather, this is a true story. My grandfather says, Barbara, why don't you eat this? I'm like, it's the eye. And I thought, there's no way that's an eye. I thought, of course I'll eat it. Turns out it was an eye, the lamb's eye.
Oh my gosh. What about restaurants? Did you go out at all as a kid? Did you go
No.
to
The first restaurant I ever was in, I couldn't believe it. This was like many, many, many years ago. You can't even imagine, you young folks out there, what the culture was like then. You would never go out. There's no fast food. I mean, in the summer, when we were in this apartment building with no air conditioning, our treat was that the fire department would come by, open the fire hydrant on the corner, and we'd all run in. And we could be outside at, after dark, like 9 o'clock. Here we are as kids running into the fire hydrant. So it was, and I'm not like 110, but I'm getting close.
Oh.
But what was the question, Matt?
The question was, we went from lamb eyeballs to unair conditioned, but
yeah. Another tradition with my grandfather.
Yeah, great.
So he was, he loved his Italian wine. And so every fall, the whole entire family, which is like, my 9 aunts and uncles and their spouses and all my cousins, 22 of us, would gather at my grandparents'. At that point, they lived in the suburbs because you couldn't do this in an apartment building. And he'd have cases of grapes, and they would be purple from top to bottom, everybody crushing all the grapes and going through like the crusher.
The videos,
And then my grandfather had 3 oak casks in his basement. And so there was one new wine, one half fermented, and one ready to draw. And they would take a brick out of their basement in this room to have it cooled at the right temperature.
Oh my God.
And then they would hang sausage to dry. So everything was done by hand. It was done like, this was their life. It was like people, so fast food, that's where it came, right? We came full circle.
Yeah.
So the fast food question was, no, I had never been to a restaurant when I was until like maybe I was 10. And my Aunt Vi and my Uncle Corky took me to like a bar kind of place and ordered a hamburger. And I was like, how does this work? They're like, you mean there's somebody back there in that kitchen who's going to come out and yes, they're going to, I can't believe, I was over the moon. I just couldn't believe that somebody was making me food.
Yeah.
I could sit there and be served at a restaurant.
That's a beautiful story. Take us back when you were young. Did you ever think you'd be famous?
No, are you kidding me?
I mean, not even. Did you have a dream at one point of being famous?
I think, no, I didn't ever.
Okay.
But I think we're all famous in our own right? Yeah. We're famous to the people you love and your family. And I think, but no, I never did. It wasn't like I had all these talents and thought one day I'll make it to Hollywood and be a big star. In fact, I was in my daughter's kitchen. We made a TikTok. What can I say?
And the rest is history.
Yeah. Now we can hang out.
I love this. Well, let's talk a little bit about your new book. I think it's really, really, really well done. I think you have a lot of learning in there. And I think it's not just like your best recipes. It is, of course, but it has a lot of theory behind it, which you'll understand when you read it. Each day of the week represents a different mood, possibly a vibe, to use a TikTok parlance. And honestly, I learned a lot. And I've worked, I work in books. So
I'm honored because you're, James Beard Award winner.
No, I mean, listen, you're like on TikTok. I mean, that's what matters. It doesn't. But no, like take us through. I think it's great to think about the Monday through Sunday cooking strategy that you've laid out in this book. I'd like to hear it in your own words, some of these ideas.
I think it's a new idea. I've never seen this in cookbooks before. And when my daughter and I were talking about this other book, when Celebrate came out, Celebrate with Babs, it's all about the holidays, right? So now it was people would say, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I have the holidays covered." But what do I do about every day?
The real cooking.
The real cooking.
Yeah.
Like, you're on the front lines. You have to answer that question over and over again. And then my daughter found out that everybody makes 36,000 micro decisions a day. Like what color socks am I going to wear? Am I going to take that way to work or that way? Or, so why not alleviate one pressure that you have to answer every day? And that's what's for dinner. So we wanted to set it up then by the days of the week. So Monday, every day has a different feel, right? There's a different mode. So Monday is vastly different than Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, yay. But Monday,
You'll feel that.
Yeah, I like it. Oh my gosh.
How do you feel Monday? What's your Monday vibe?
Monday vibe is like you need to get in and out of that kitchen.
Yeah.
Right. And you need a fast prep.
Yep.
Right. And because Monday was okay. The title of the chapter was "Get Your Sheet Together Monday," as in sheet pan meals, and we have 13 great sheet pan meals, delicious and easy. But it's an easy prep, and quick dinners that are three things. But recipes had to live up to. They had to be easy. They had to be delicious, and there had to be an easy cleanup. So you weren't in the kitchen like an hour after you served everybody. You're still scrubbing pots and pans. So all of the recipes.
And cleaning.
I know cleaning.
Cleaning. We'll get to. I have some cleaning questions.
All right. Oh,
it's not just a cookbook talk. We're talking cleaning here. But continue about the rest of the week the way you think about like Tuesday, Wednesday.
Sure.
Because you have some really smart ideas there.
Sure. So Tuesday you could do a little batch cooking, and we've got like grandma's chicken cutlets or whatever, and you could make half of that recipe, and you'll have 8 cutlets, which would be plenty for dinner. And then you could freeze 8 that are not quite cooked off.
Yep.
And then you could bake them in the oven, 400 later in the week. You could go from the freezer to the oven at 400, and they will crisp up on that baking sheet as if you like saute them.
Yeah.
So that's great. And there's like 2 meatloaves, and so you'll always have food in the fridge or in the freezer. Because there's those nights where it's like there's nothing to eat. You'll always have food.
You always have that reserve there.
Yeah.
And that is a good Tuesday. I feel like you just pull it out of the freezer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Wednesday is the one and only. So it's one pot, one skillet. And, it's the broccoli and pasta. It's, I'm trying to think of other recipes in there. I'm drawing a blank, but there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And it's been a long day. I started like at 6:30.
You were on TV today, right?
I was on TV. I was on GMA.
Yeah.
And,
how did that go?
They tell me it went well.
I'm sure it went well, but what's it like going on live national TV?
I like this could be national TV, but I'm looking at you and you're great. And it's, we're having a conversation, all these wonderful people here. So I don't think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been on GMA a few times. They're a great group.
Yeah.
They're very welcoming, I have to say, and warm and loving. And we started there. And then Every Day with Babs was on the Jumbotron.
Oh, in Times Square.
For 4 minutes. That was like incredible.
I love that.
And then I had a couple of interviews, and it's been a lot. It was a beautiful day. It was the perfect publication day for sure.
Let's get into Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, Thursday. Okay, so by Thursday, it's Thrifty Thursday. A lot of times your food budget has been depleted, right? So you rely on pantry staples.
Yeah.
So we have a sloppy Joe casserole recipe in there. It's so good, and also pasta fagioli, but we say pasta fazool, and so just like basic. You can open up your pantry, you grab a couple ingredients, and you can make dinner. And then Friday, you made it through the week. So Monday through Wednesday is more quick, easy recipes because you're busy, right? And then Friday is Friday. So let's celebrate. And so they're fun recipes. we have a spicy tuna a sushi casserole.
Oh, that's fun. I like
and
that
it's
idea.
really fun that my grandkids even love.
Your grandkids are eating sushi?
They are. Oh yeah. Some of my grandkids won't eat like regular food, but they'll have Indian food and sushi.
Oh, I love that.
And then
this is like the future of
Yeah,
the world,
right,
eating
right.
Indian food and sushi. I love to see
Forget
that.
the mac and cheese.
Yeah, come on. They're like, no.
Yeah,
Take
yeah.
me to some inaguri. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Friday, like we have like a Reuben pastry pocket, pimento cheese patty melt.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, so really fun things like for movie night, family night, game night, and then Saturday, we figure you're at games or you're shopping or you're laying on the sofa, whatever you do on Saturday, right? So it's low and slow. As in slow cookers. So you're going to do a little prep in the morning. Because let's face it, you don't just usually dump, even though we do have some recipes that you put everything in and it's going to taste fabulous. But some recipes, a little prep before, everything goes in your slow cooker and you leave. And when you come home from whatever you're doing, you have dinner waiting for you.
Do you know the slow cooker was invented outside Chicago?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like a suburb, but that's where it comes from.
Oh, cool. I had no idea.
What's like when you don't give us an idea of like the slow cooker on a Saturday for you?
So I have a wonderful well, they're all great recipes. I can't, but I'll highlight a few. So we have a French onion soup pot roast. So it's very few ingredients, but you do have to steam those onions, which there's prep, but it's like non-active. You just let them steam for some minutes, and then and you saute your roast, your beef, and you saute that first, and you steam those onions to kind of get them nice and caramelized, and then that goes right on, and with wine and thyme and whatever you'd find in French onion soup, beef broth, and that's why I'm saying there is a little bit of prep to some of the recipes, but 8 hours later, 6 hours later,
it's the best, and it just perfumes your kitchen, and then you unplug it, and you're.
It's nice to come home and smell like the aroma of dinner waiting for you.
So take us to Sunday, and then I have some more questions about specific recipes that really jumped out. But tell us about Sunday.
So a Sunday is Sunday supper, and they're more elevated recipes for Sunday. And if there's I know our schedules are crazy. I mean, I know your schedules are. Well, mine's kind of busy too, actually.
Yeah,
but but when you're like raising kids and going to games and going to practices and all that business, you maybe don't have time to sit down as a family and have dinner, right? Everybody kind of grab and go, and but Massachusetts General Hospital did a study. A 20-year longitudinal study on the effects of family dinner. I have all this in the book. Mm-hmm. And basically it was that after 20 years, they discovered that everyone in the family benefits in their spirit, their brain, and their health if you sit down with technology-free, including no TV, and share a meal with the people you have most in the world. And so I'm shooting for, okay, America, we can do this. Let's do it at least one night a week. Mm-hmm. And for us, that's Sunday.
Yeah.
And also for kids, the results were off the chart. It was like they felt more connected to their family. They were able to talk to their parents. They had higher achievement. They were less likely to get involved with things that keep parents up at night. And so it is simple. In fact, they said that the kitchen table was the best family therapy they've seen. So how simple is that?
Yeah.
Right?
It's a great sentiment. Tell me about the Olive Bar chicken.
Oh, I know.
Because that jumped out at me, the idea of like the Olive Bar at, Whole Foods or at your grocery store. What's I loved it.
You know what? It's all the ingredients that you'd find in an Olive Bar, like the marinated artichokes, the roasted red pepper, the sun-dried tomato, the olives, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And all that on a sheet pan. So this is probably the easiest prep recipe in the book. Yeah. It probably takes 5 minutes to prep. And, I'm a chicken thigh girl. You might be into chicken breast, but I think thighs.
I mean, we all know that thighs are better. Let's just be honest here. We all know. Everyone's nodding their heads. There's some applause.
Yeah,
it's only
exactly.
Bone in?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Good.
You got to have that
Bone-in
flavor, right? So bone-in chicken thighs.
Yeah.
And you just, it's really kind of a dump recipe. People love dump stuff. Like, when we post, if it's a dump meal, it goes like, it's viral, know?
Yeah.
So, but this is like a healthy dump meal. It's not like, by the way, somebody's like, oh, cans, number one, jars. And number two, what's wrong with canning? I mean, that's how people, canning isn't bad, or getting something out of a can. But anyways.
Truly not.
Right, exactly.
No shame for that.
Right.
Absolutely not.
So anyway, it's basically you dump sun-dried tomatoes with all the juice onto the sheet pan, and then it's the artichokes, and the chicken thighs go right on with a little brown sugar, and you kind of get all that.
Interesting, brown sugar,
just a little. Or you can use honey if you'd like.
It's great.
And then you kind of massage that all together with the sun-dried tomato juice of the sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah.
And then next is the roasted red peppers right on. You want to get the chef's cut because you can't have big pieces of roasted pepper. And marinated artichokes, olives.
Yeah.
And then you pop it in the oven for like 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can serve that with pasta, mashed potatoes, or just like garlic bread on the side. And and I'll tell you, the next day, I'm a leftover person. The leftovers are even better,
Definitely better. And like the bone-in, like you can go a little bit longer with the heat because it won't dry out as quickly. And I like that tip there. Let's talk about, this is great. Your warm hug bacon pasta is, first off, delicious. I like putting bacon in lots of things. But how does it tie back to Mr. Babs getting arrested?
So we were young newlyweds, and we were actually finishing college, seniors. And so Bill was driving a cab, and I was waitressing. And I tell my grandkids, like, they need to waitress so they can appreciate, like waiting on people, serving, right?
Yeah. It's a great...
You serve people, and guess what? You're respectful to people who serve you.
It's a great tip.
But anyway, so in Chicago with the cab business, you couldn't pick up a fare in Chicago because he worked for a suburban company. So you couldn't pick up in Chicago and then drop the fare off in Chicago. You had to go like O'Hare Airport to the suburbs. You couldn't go O'Hare to downtown Chicago. So this company said, pick up at O'Hare and drop them off in Chicago. I was like, okay. Well, the Chicago Police Department really and truly, at that time, didn't have much to do, I guess. And they were following cabs. And Bill, they saw what he did when he went like from O'Hare, and then he continued in like the Chicago city limits. They pulled him over and arrested him.
Mr. Babs, he gets sprung out of jail.
Yeah.
And it hadn't had a great time in jail, as most people haven't. And you make him something.
I make him, what is the most comfort food on the face of the earth? It's pasta. So it's it's like pasta amatriciana, right?
Yep, exactly.
But
Roman
you don't have
style.
the pork jaws. We use bacon. So it's bacon. It's so simple. It's in the One Pot Wednesday.
That's it. One of those.
The recipe.
There it is.
So it's basically you saute bacon and red onions, and then the tomatoes, and you put your uncooked spaghetti right in the pot, right in the 12-inch skillet. You lay it right down, and there's very few ingredients to this. And then you rinse out. You use good tomatoes when you make this.
What makes a good tomato?
Oh, I like San Marzano.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
Is that like... Yeah. And you know what? Food is, I don't know if you, not to plug another book, but it's not a cookbook, but Good Energy. I don't know if you're familiar with that by Casey. And
I'm not familiar, but I'm sure it's
Means.
available at this beautiful bookstore.
Yes.
So check it out.
So basically, they talk about the importance of really buying good food, because good food becomes a part of you, right? And it strengthens your cells, all that. So if you're going to buy tomatoes, buy good tomatoes. Don't look for the cheapy on sale ones, So San Marzano are the only ones. Yeah.
So with the bacon, you're just putting it all, like, are you crisping it ahead of time?
Well, you have to saute the bacon and the red onions for like 7 to 10 minutes.
7 to 10.
So that the bacon's golden and the red onions are, ready to, are cooked through,
Let's take us to the photo shoot when you're shooting the cookbook and you're styling the what's that like for you to work, to make these recipes and then have a photo crew shoot the recipes.
So when we published our first book, Matt, Celebrate,
Yeah.
all of that was taken place in Indianapolis. It was DK Publishers. That's
Yeah.
where they're headquartered in the U.S. So we had no experience.
You weren't there at the photo shoot.
No. Well, we had no experience whatsoever when they said, could you write a cookbook?
Yeah.
I'm like, no. But then obviously I did. And so they handled so much of it
Okay.
because we were newbies,
Yeah.
So now this time around, we were definitely more involved in every stage of a book development.
Yeah.
And a huge piece of it, let's face it, you want to buy a cookbook where every recipe is photographed, don't you? You don't want to have to imagine, I wonder what that looks like.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to look like this, or was I supposed to brown it a little bit longer?
Not all cookbooks have a photo with every recipe.
No, I
Because
know.
it's a lot of work for you as the author to commit to shooting every single recipe.
Single one.
And having a set for every single one.
Yes.
And having it food styled and prop styled.
Right.
Yeah.
So, of course, I have a team. I started this when I was 71, just to let you know.
Wow.
But anyway, so we shot the book we were in Brooklyn for like 7 full days.
Oh,
I have to say, I did not go in a few days. My daughter, Elizabeth, lived there for like the full 14 days practically. And we were commuting from Brooklyn back to Connecticut every day too. We weren't staying any place near where the shoot was taking place. But yes, there's a tremendous amount of, those 36,000 micro decisions. we made 72,000 every day. Because, Matt, you've written cookbooks.
Yeah.
There's so much to every photograph. It's incredible.
There's the photograph, and you've got the prop and set styling. You got to make sure it's garnished correctly.
Right.
Because you don't want to have a photo without the right garnish, right?
No.
That's important.
Or if there's water in a glass, is it like tap water, or are we going to use sparkling water? So you see the little bubbles. Are we going to take an overhead shot, or like a full shot, from the side or whatever?
Yeah,
there's a ton of decisions.
It makes you look at cookbooks a little differently when you make one.
It's like waiting tables.
Yeah.
You know what? I have great respect for people who write cookbooks.
Well, the book is absolutely beautiful. I have a couple more recipe questions. And then some cleaning talk. So scotcheroos,
right?
Definitively a Midwestern.
It is, yeah.
I feel like those are not from the Midwest might not know exactly what goes into a scotcheroo. Tell us about your perfect scotcheroo.
So, in 1960, actually, the scotcheroo recipe was on the back of the Rice Krispies box, but it was born in the Midwest. That's where they came from.
Yeah.
So the story goes. And I think the original recipe was peanut butter and Rice Krispies, kind of patted down in a 9x13, and then over that was chocolate and butterscotch melted. So they were bars. They were more like candy looking things, right? So we elevated them a bit, and ours are more a cross between a Rice Krispie treat and a scotcheroo.
Oh.
So we have not only the Rice Krispies, but marshmallows, which make them light and more less. They're not hard. They're more chewy and light, and
that's the key.
Not a Rice Krispie treat totally, but certainly more of that feel. Yeah. And then and so it's the peanut butter, the marshmallows, the Rice Krispies, all kind of melted together. And then that's poured out into your pan. And then it's topped with melted chocolate and butterscotch morsels.
Oh, morsels, like double chips and morsels.
Right.
Got
and
it.
Then it's topped off with roasted peanuts.
Love that. And you square them as bars.
Yes, and then they're bars.
And
right.
served.
So they're not flat and kind of hard. Okay. They're chewy and gooey, a little bit more gooey.
What makes a Babs dessert a Babs dessert?
Well, I love chocolate, but we have a lot of desserts in the book that aren't chocolate.
Yeah.
I love dessert.
Yeah.
So I think anything, again, that's easy to assemble, that you can do ahead of time. Scotcheroos can be made 2-3 days in advance. So a Babs dessert would be something you serve that is delicious, but it's not going to stress you out because you don't want dessert to be like another headache, right? You want it to be a treat.
Yeah. No bake
yeah.
or like icebox cakes.
Yeah, we do. We have an icebox cake. We have
that.
a key lime icebox cake.
So
We go to Florida for a few weeks every year with Mr. Babs's family, and we shop at Publix. And so
Nice.
Publix has, I think, the best key lime pie around. And it's so good. So we have a key lime icebox cake in the book.
Yeah.
And that's terrific. We also have a strawberry shortcake made on a sheet pan. So
that's fun. Nice.
It's so easy to make. All you need is a bowl, one bowl and a sheet pan. And you make, your shortbread like in the bowl, dump it on that sheet pan, kind of comes together, and then it's baked. And later when you're ready to serve it, you add the whipped cream, freshly whipped cream, and then on top are macerated strawberries.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And it's fabulous. And the beauty of it is you can serve it right from that sheet pan. If you don't even want to dirty another tray or dish.
Just carry it right to the table and cut it.
And cut it. And it
Smart.
serves a lot. It'll serve
Yeah.
at least 6 to 8 people.
Do you get stopped in the grocery store when you're shopping?
I do.
What? So what is that? What's that like? Because this is your turf. This is you're in the grocery store.
Yeah.
What are those interactions like?
So I used to go to the grocery store. Let's face it, it's a grocery store. You go in your sweats and a sweatshirt. I can't do that anymore because they always want to take pictures, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I used to be really surprised, honest to goodness, oh my gosh, that's so nice of you, that you're out there. And I like to converse with people. I'm a talker. In fact, yesterday we had kind of a pre-kickoff event in New Canaan, and a gal that was there was from my town, and she said, "You probably don't remember me, but I met you at Carluzzi's, which is our grocery store." And she said, "I met you, and I was getting my ingredients for one of your recipes." I'm like, "I do remember you. It was for the Super Bowl." And
so fun.
we had posted a corn dip. And she said, "Oh my gosh, that was the recipe." And here she came to the event yesterday.
That's really fun. That's sweet to meet, just meeting all these people.
I know.
You're helping them change the way they cook.
And
teaching them to cook.
Yeah. And that's, we're all here to do good, right? And people will say, "Oh, you're a grand influencer." Yes, I'm older. I'm a grandma. But if you think about it, everybody influences people. Every time you open your mouth, you're either influencing for the better or the worse.
Yeah.
And so we're all here to kind of build each other up. And as I said, you're all influencers, just so you know.
I agree. All right. Big question, Basket House update. I think we all want to know. And
right.
What can you say just for this audience?
Right.
Just for this audience.
Right.
We'll keep it in this.
All right. Don't tell anybody.
We'll keep it closer.
All right.
Yeah.
Just between you and
the folks who came and bought the book.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that, we had to raise the house. I don't know if you remember that, because we were in the floodplain. Even though we did our due diligence and we thought we would never have to do that, well, things unraveled with the Historical Society and, everybody gets involved,
Yeah.
So that really delayed it. But now we're getting super close. The kitchen is terrific. I can't wait for you to see this. We have an amazing pantry. The greenhouse that was on the original, was leaking. It was acrylic. It wasn't really glass. But we kept that same look, and that is finally done. It was finished last weekend. So that's done. So what's left is really some of the fine carpentry in the family room, some cabinets that still have to be put in, and an old house, you don't have a lot of closets, right? There's hardly any closets in a house. So we're sneaking in a few closets, which haven't been done. But by and large, if
ready.
We could have it's not ready for furniture yet or anything.
Yeah.
But it's not cleaned, ready to be moved
It's still
in.
in that mode.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know about the Basket House, you are restoring a house.
Yes.
And this is a weekend house.
It'll be like our home away from home. I'll supposed to spend some time, maybe 3 nights a week or something.
I like that.
Yeah. I love my home away from home.
What's the kitchen like?
Oh my gosh. It is fabulous.
Okay.
We have this fabulous stove. I think you knew the name, right? Agar?
No, I don't.
Oh, what is it called? Aga. I know.
Yeah.
I've never had an Aga stove. In fact, to look at this thing, one of the gals that we know that we work with actually used to rep Aga stoves. And so she's going to teach me how to use it. It's one of these things that is just massive, and there's 3 ovens, and there's 12 like knobs across the front of it. It is formidable. Like it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, this thing is like
I cannot
need to
wait
know
to
how
see your
handle
new
this.
videos
Yeah,
from this brand new kitchen. It's like a new chapter for you.
it really. I mean, I have a lovely kitchen, but this kitchen will knock your
This
socks
is
off.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really incredible. But for those of you who don't know, we bought an 1830s a cottage. It was originally a blacksmith shop. In 1850, it became a basket shop. It's on a river, and so the reeds for the baskets were soaked in the river and sold, and
Wow.
right in this home, and that's why we call it the basket house. So we're keeping that tradition. There's a lot of elements in the house that are basket theme, like we have lattice. A lot of lattice. We have a whole banquette that's total lattice and it looks out onto the river.
Oh, very
So
cool.
there's a lot of touches that we incorporated to respect the history of the house.
That's very
We
good.
kept the floor in the main room, I guess the family room, was brick. And that's probably the room where they shoed horses, right? And so when we lifted the house, that floor stayed like on the ground. There was no foundation. There was
Wow.
nothing. And I
What
thought,
a
I can't.
project.
Oh, and so, but all the first floor is all terracotta, so it looks like all stone, keeping again the history of the
That's nice.
blacksmith shop.
The tour will be coming soon.
Yeah,
to
but
TikTok. Yeah.
within a month.
Great. So on This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview,
Okay.
here's a little rapid fire,
All
fast
right.
and furious taste check. Are you ready?
Well, wait a minute. I'm not sure.
Okay. We'll go anyways.
Don't make them
All right.
hard.
There are no wrong. I mean, there are a few wrong answers, but all right.
I won't fail.
Okay, you won't fail. The best fruit.
Oh, I love watermelon. Like in the middle of the season, ripe, sweet watermelon is. But now they make them seedless.
It's not as fun.
No.
It's not as fun. You want to have it work a little bit for
Yeah,
it.
right,
I like
right.
that. The worst vegetable.
Okra.
Yeah, tough.
I lived in the South. We lived in Richmond for a while. I didn't like okra.
Yeah,
It's kind of mealy and I don't know.
slimy a little
Yeah,
bit. Can be.
slimy. Yeah.
What is your typical breakfast?
You won't believe it, but now I am having, are you ready? A powdered mushroom drink called OM, O-M.
Okay.
Have you guys heard about this? I don't know if you've heard. And you know what? I have
Did
it
you
in
find that on TikTok?
No, but maybe I should make a TikTok.
I think you
Yeah,
should.
there you go. Thanks for the idea.
Yeah.
But it's almost like it tastes like I have chocolate, so it tastes like hot
Yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah.
And I make a drink in the morning, and it kind of evens me out for a while until lunch.
What kind of mushrooms are these?
I don't know.
Dang. I love it.
There's lion's mane.
Oh, it's lion's
yeah,
mane. Great.
Yeah,
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's good.
yeah, the good.
So
I mean,
you
the
start
legal stuff.
legal stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, grand influencers have grand visions.
Right.
All right. Is there anything else, or just the mushroom drink for breakfast?
Well, otherwise it would be protein, like
Yeah.
eggs, like definitely like poached or omelet or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's important, like for me. Like when I have more time for breakfast, I would definitely protein.
Yeah. The best dessert.
The best dessert would be, well, chocolate chip cookies. I mean,
Yeah.
with milk.
Yeah, of course.
And I've got a great chocolate chip cookie recipe in the dessert chapter. I think it's the #1 recipe, like first when you open that chapter. And it is fabulous. You're going to love these cookies.
So good. A couple more. When you're craving fast food, where's Babs going?
In our town, there's a place called Sycamores. And it's one of those drive-up places that they come to the, like car hops.
Oh,
They
that's
come to
fun.
the window
Yeah.
and you order and then they set the tray on your window and you eat in the car.
Oh my gosh, I love
You could
that.
go in, but I think it's been there since 1947
Oh, wonderful.
and it's
Oh.
like down the block.
Is it a
So-
burger?
And they like, it's like smash burgers.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
they were the original, I mean, they're thin
Yeah.
and they're like, hand formed and all
Yeah.
that. It's a good place.
Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Well, one fall, Bill and I took a trip with one of our best friends, and we went to Provence. I know it's not one city, but
That
it's
was
a
fun.
lot of little towns.
Yeah.
And I thought the food was off the charts.
Yeah.
I was just blown away. I gained 7 pounds.
Mazel, as you should. I mean,
I had to have all that bread for Pete's
the bread,
sake. Yeah.
the
yeah.
cheeses. Yeah.
Oh, my
the
word.
Great wine.
It was unreal.
Is there like a Babs on the Road idea?
Babs on the Road?
Yeah.
Uh,
Babs in Provence.
Oh.
Babs in Rome.
Oh, wow.
Babs
Like
in-
Rick Steve and now Babs?
Yeah. You know it.
Well, that would be fun.
I think it'd be fun.
I'm ready to get off the road. But once
I know. Right now, you don't want
once
to go to
I'm done with the road, then maybe we'll
It'd be fun
take
to
a
get
break.
you into some kitchens. All right. The last one, your favorite sandwich.
My favorite Chicago Italian beef.
Oh. So great. I love that. Do you watch The Bear?
We only watched a few episodes, but I know everybody raves about it. But to tell you the truth, we don't watch a lot of TV. I heard it's good, though.
It's a good
Do
show.
you watch
It's a good show.
Yeah,
It's a Chicago show.
And it's about a beef and hot dog
beef's
place.
in there. Yeah, that's the only reference.
I could definitely relate to that because we own a beef and hot dog place way back.
Well, Babs, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Matt. You're a doll.
This is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.